Hi, Lenny.
Hello again.
How are you doing?
No, I'm actually quite good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
What's been happening since the last time that we talked?
Um, we had that short talk 2 days after.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a lot of fear and anxiety that day,
Yeah.
and then it just evaporate,
Yeah.
kind of. And there's a sense of nervousness now in the beginning, talking English, and but that's okay.
Yeah.
And the silence has been so much deeper. And it's more easier just I hear your voice. I don't think
Yeah.
the words, but I hear what's between me and know me. Zoof.
Zoop. Yeah. Zoop.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite simple, right? Because when there is when the buying gets out of the way, or Lenny gets out of the way, right?
yeah,
Then it goes into that spaciousness,
yeah,
which is
beautiful.
fascinating, right? Because it's almost like we're going the opposite direction in
Yeah,
seeking. You're always trying to run away from what's here. Like even with that anxiety, right? If you go in between what's anxiety and no anxiety, it goes soup.
yeah,
I had a severe anxiety that I hid for quite a while, and all I did was try to find peace, right?
yeah,
And that's what my seeking for like 20 plus years was happening was and even with all of the practices and all of the inquiry and all of the mantras and all of the scripture is always trying to take me to the next.
yeah.
It
And
always
that's
involved
what,
me, right?
yeah, and that's what I saw after I talked to you. It's and the second time I saw that all the mind is doing and what is keeping the anxiety is going to the next to fix. So
Exactly.
if I stay,
Yeah.
then there's is a sensation.
Yeah.
If I go to the next, because the thoughts is always in the past, because it's
Mhm.
always already here. So it's either in the past, picking up thoughts describing the feeling, or going to the next.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if drop drop
Yeah.
both past and future.
Yeah. The past, because the past creates a reality that's not here right now. So it tries to maintain a reality that doesn't exist. Of
Yeah,
course, there's going to be depression if you keep on thinking about the past, or anxiety when you keep on thinking about the future.
yeah,
But since we can't get rid of thinking, because that's just another next, right? What's
yeah.
between thinking and not thinking? Sobriety.
Yeah.
We get intoxicated with the past and the future, right? Because it's fantasies. We're caught up in a fantasy mentality, and that's what creates this illusion of suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always avoiding, 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 right? But what
Yeah.
we don't know that what we're thinking right now is also just fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
And in the
the
same
now is
time,
also fantasy.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you can use the words and don't be attached to the words.
Yeah. That's
Less
what it is.
attachments, so we can communicate, but it's just a play.
Yeah. It's like you're reading a script, right? But you know that it's just a script.
Yeah.
You can get involved in a script, right? You can get method acting, you know what I'm saying? Like actors, right?
Yeah.
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 But when you
That
go to,
was also something that came up is like I was in the movie and then I was sitting in the cinema looking at the movie and then I can just switch off the movie
yeah,
and it goes blank.
exactly. Yeah. It's that
So
the my example, it is like you're so involved in the movie, and then someone opens the door and the light comes in. You're like, oh, it's just a
yeah,
movie, right?
yeah,
It's like when you're curled up in your couch, right? You're eating popcorn, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
you're so involved with the movie. You laugh, you cry, you jump out of your seat, right? With the
yeah,
movie. And then when the movie's over, you're like, ah, that was a good movie. But you
yeah,
were so involved in the past, 2 hours or so.
yeah,
Yeah. Simple, very direct. And
yeah.
what
And
was
I,
your seeking before? What did you do before? So many things, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but the last year or so, almost a year, it's been non-duality.
Yeah.
Before that, it was more like um, a spirit. I want to find my gift or what's special with me. I want
Next,
what,
next, next. Yeah.
yeah, and some specialness that I could use or can. And suddenly there was a new opening when I found non-duality and start to see behind all this made up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful. I'm so happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now I see the beliefs that, oh, maybe I didn't get it, but it's not that strong anymore.
Yeah, because that's
So
just
I don't
trying to
go
go
there.
to the next again, right? Trying to go to the narrative that there's something more. The default setting, if you pay attention to the movie, the mind, is that it's
Mm,
called there's something's missing.
mm,
So you're
yeah,
waiting for the ending, the ending, the ending.
yeah.
But the end, there's no
No ending.
ending. Yeah,
No.
yeah. You're waiting for the credits to appear. You're like, where are the credits? Right? Where's the end? No, there's no ending. Yeah, yeah.
And
But in the
that's
directness, there's no beginning and there's no ending at the same
mm,
time, right? So
floating.
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's really,
Hmm.
yeah, and the in between thing that you do, and also that there's no landing.
Yeah,
Those two things just open something up.
beautiful. Yeah, because no matter what I said before, it created a landing. If I said that there's no time, that's a landing. I say no,
Yeah,
there's no one here, that's a landing. It's just what's
yeah,
happening, that's a landing. If I say this is it, that's a landing. Even when I say it's just this, it's a landing.
yeah.
So let's go into between what's just this and not just this. If we're honest, we can't say anything really.
No.
It goes shh.
Yeah.
Troy the key.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been home alone. That's been great because I didn't want to talk
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
Uh, and I also seen that when I go out, people approach me. Suddenly the neighbor said, "Can I come and sit with you?" Okay, yeah, just go. And she sat with me for half an hour,
yeah,
just sitting there.
yeah,
And then she left. And also
yeah,
my daughter, she have had some issues that you have when you're 18.
yeah, yeah,
And and then I asked her, instead of giving advice or talking into the story, just said, "Do you just want me to listen?" Yes, mom, I just want you to listen. And then I can just
yeah, yeah.
be there and didn't say anything.
Yeah, it's more direct, right? Because when you're trying to give an advice, you're listening to the story and you're trying to think of something to solve it right away.
Yeah,
You're trying to fix it already, right?
yeah,
And what this is basically is just being unconditionally loving.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt as well. And the thought I had would have before, it's I don't want her to suffer, but that wasn't there.
Yeah.
There was just I love her so much, or the
Yeah.
love I feel, and
It was probably a
just
better
sitting.
conversation than most of your conversation, right? When you just
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
because we're
And I said,
correcting them, fixing them, all that
no,
kind of stuff, right? My nephew was here just he was here for a week and his parents 18, right? So I just gave him space, right? And just
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
And I
that way you're
try to
more present. You're more
yeah,
present with the character.
and it's like I had to be a I have to be, but be aware now in the beginning because it's a bit new to me.
Hmm.
So when I go grocery shopping, meet people, I try to always
Yeah.
be in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
how to
Well,
say?
because in
Yeah.
between there's no you or not you, it's
No.
just authenticity, right?
Yeah.
There's just a presence or a nowness. I don't know. No words
No.
for it really.
No.
That is just so direct and so subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sit, I go up. I have a room where I paint,
Oh,
and
good.
yeah, and it's a big, big, big pine tree outside, and I can look at it for hours
Yeah,
and
that's
just
what
let this.
happens too, right? Is that you're just if you take away the words, then there's just so the trees were my best friends are my best friends,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You just
I've been walking in the forest with my old dog
mhm,
and looking at trees and birds and animals and it's the dog walks slow, I walk slow, and the nature is coming closer
mhm,
and it's all very silent.
yeah.
The trees are so silent that you just want to
That's why
sink with
sometimes I
them.
sit under a tree and just forget about time, and sometimes I forget that I have a Zoom meeting and I'm running. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was just sitting under a tree. And you don't notice it's been 2 hours, that you're sitting there. You're like, oh, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And that's why the Buddha probably like sitting under the tree,
Yeah. Yeah, they're so lovely.
It's so amazing, right? My
Yeah.
favorite thing to do now is just walk slowly and run fast,
Yeah.
right? It's just, oh, so deep. Yeah. Something that cannot be said
Yeah.
and something that cannot be, cannot be held on to.
Yeah.
It's a silence that's moving.
Yeah.
It's a stillness that's walking, basically.
Yeah. And I also had this like heart opening and tears.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's like it's rolling and the more it's rolling, the more it's cracking open or something. So I just
Yeah.
I don't plan, I just go and
Mhm.
see what happens, what the day gives to me. I try not to control.
Yeah. One time I was laughing and my sister goes, tone down, you're laughing too loud. But I'm laughing, without any filters now, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
hearty laughter. It's like a little kid, right?
Yeah. That's the best thing in the world to
It
just
is. That
laugh.
that knee slapping laughter.
Yeah. I love
And the
I
crying
love
too
it.
is beautiful, right? It's just like I was not a crier, but I cry so easily now
Yeah.
because there's no more, oh, you should not cry because you're a man, and why are you crying, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm walking and I'm crying, right? It's just
Yeah.
yeah. But it's just very ordinary. It's not special. It's ordinary, but at the same
Yeah.
time it's
Freeing.
freeing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw these spider webs in the morning, and it's been -3 or -5, so they were just like frozen pearls
Ooh, wow.
in the trees.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
And the sun coming through, so they're glimmering
Hmm.
like the most beautiful Christmas decoration.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can just,
And then spring is
yeah,
coming, it will just get more beautiful, right?
yeah,
Like when I was walking earlier, I was hearing three different kinds of birds just, chirping back and forth. And I was like, it's
yeah,
the most beautiful sound, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of woodpeckers actually,
Oh, cool.
and some of them are quite big. So I just stand still and then I hear where they are
Hmm.
landing
Yeah.
and then I can
Oh,
see them. So Yeah, people think I'm crazy because sometimes I
You
don't
lost your
register.
mind, Lenny.
Yeah, luckily.
That's okay.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah,
If there's some doing, is to lose the mind.
that's right. Yeah.
The attachment.
That's what it is. We get so attached to the words, to the language. You know, when we have a sensation in our body, and you're like, oh, I'm anxious. But it's just
Yeah,
aliveness coming. It's like that sun rays just going through, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah. It's just
And we always stop. I always stop when I felt anxious or afraid.
mm-hmm,
Just frozen in the feeling instead of seeing this is a word. What is
mm-hmm.
this really? This is just a sensation.
Instead of going directly, we bypass it by
Yeah,
trying to
and
go
make story.
make
Sorry.
stories. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So when they say that this is bypassing, no, it's actually being very direct. It's being very direct. So it's if it's crying, it's crying. If it's laughing, it's laughing. If it's sadness, it's sadness, right?
yeah,
But it passes.
yeah,
Yeah. Like for example, when I heard someone is sick, I felt sadness. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And helping happens. You know that kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And like we talked the first time, my dog is 15 years old, so
Yeah.
I know there's there's going to be a time when I had to
Oh, you're
let.
gonna cry, like,
I know.
and it's going to hurt, right? It's not about, saying that there's no one hurting or hurting's not happening. It's going to hurt, right?
Yeah,
I cried, um, yeah, it's gonna hurt.
yeah. And that's
But that's what
important
it
to let.
is.
Yeah, and just let it be a
Let it,
be.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Let
And
it.
luckily the vet is coming home, so I don't
Okay.
have to bring him to the vet because he hates going there.
So
So it
when are you planning to
no, I haven't planned yet, but
you
I've
haven't
talked to
planned
her,
yet?
just checked. Otherwise, I would find another one
Yeah,
because I want
yeah.
him to be home.
Yeah,
This
it
hours.
was
Oh,
beautiful because I have never cried that deeply
no.
and I've never really grieved that deeply, even when relatives passed away, right? Because this
Mm,
is someone that's right beside you for 15 years, right? So, but you
yeah.
know what? When there's no filter in crying and in grief, it might sting a lot. You know what I'm saying? It might hurt a lot, but the hurt passes as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. And then cough happens too. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, yeah.
I had
It's
this experience once with a horse. I usually every
I love
morning,
horses.
yeah, I was 13 or 14 years old, and every morning before school, I let the horse out, and he was a big one. He was 172
Oh wow,
centimeters to his neck,
wow, that's really tall.
and
Yeah.
fed him. And one day I came down ready to bring the horse out, and he was gone, and they hadn't even told me.
Oh
Oh, I just ran into the woods. I didn't come home for almost, yeah,
yeah.
half day. I was so painful.
Oh,
So I really love the animal with no, yeah, there's no story, just love.
yeah.
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 And it's almost every people I meet in the non-duality, yeah, kind of people, always have animals, dogs or cats or horses.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's so nice. Yeah.
There's again, this is just a story, of course. There is something, about watching, an animal
Mm,
that is more awake than most of the people that you see.
mm,
Something beautiful about something that doesn't have thoughts but is so receptive.
yeah.
Yeah. So gentle and so unconditionally loving, right?
Mm,
It's beautiful, right? It's just So
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? When the dog passes, right? And if it feels right, you know what I'm saying? Get another one.
Mm.
Like I can't even imagine not having a pet around me
No.
because it's the best companion. You do a lot for the dog, of course, right? You know, like but it's such the and this is just story, right? But the love that they give is just so unconditional that you don't mind picking up their poop. You know, you don't mind
Yeah.
brushing their hair. It's like having a child. You know what I'm saying? That is
Mm.
dependent on you, but the love that they give, the love that you
Mm.
know in the narrative is just so pristine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you have kids?
No, 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 I
No.
don't. Yeah, I have six nephews and nieces, and I'm close to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I have a
also
dog.
so lovely to be with kids.
What's that?
I love to be with kids.
Oh, me too. Me too. Me too.
They're so fun.
When I go to my brother's house or my sister, you know, I usually hang out with the kids and play
Yeah.
with them. Yeah, you know, and yeah, I feel like a kid sometimes. You start feeling that too.
Yeah.
There's uh
Curiosity
yeah, yeah.
and
Like
just whoa.
yeah, like when I moved to this area back in December, um I was walking in this trail and I saw this cemetery. And then I went down to the cemetery and just started looking at all the cemetery like a little kid, right? You know, the little kid, you know, and just and then I was smiling, just looking, and there's a woman that I encountered, and she goes, "What are you smiling at?" I was like, "Sorry." Started walking right,
Busted.
busted right. Like, oh, it's cool, you know. There's a cemetery, right? There's no emotional attachment to it. But for someone, I guess, that's grieving, you know, they're like, "What is he
Yeah.
doing? What is he
Yeah.
smiling? Is he insane?"
Out of his mind.
I said,
He's out of his mind.
yeah,
Yes.
he's out of his mind. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
you know, funny enough, when this unhappening happened, a friend of mine were walking around, and he also, you know, had lost his mind, so to speak. It's my first person, I guess, that lost his mind just talking about whatever. And he was we were looking around. He goes, the world is insane. I'm like, yeah, the world is insane. They're thinking, right? They're caught up in their thinking. I'm like, yeah. Or if you look around, it's it just seems like, you know, there's just this fogs, you know, like clouds, right?
Like
And
I
it's
feel
okay.
now, the silence is just
Yeah, yeah. I always talk about that, like a ringing of the ear, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes if we talk, it's gone, but now it's here all the time.
yeah, yeah. It's always here. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with me.
No.
Yeah.
Mm.
Although some people are convinced that, you know, that there must be, you must be doing something. No, no, no. No, there's
That's a
just,
belief.
what's that? That's a belief. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you get caught up in that, you
Yeah.
always go to the next person or
That's
next.
right.
So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
Emerson is whatever, you know, it's just,
mm,
Emerson is just a belief.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's beautiful though.
Yeah, how it shapes like we have in this conversation and the other ones that make the self recognize itself or
Yeah. The recognition that there's no recognition, right? Again, it's just a words. It doesn't matter what we say, right? Because the recognition can't be said. It
no.
cannot be spoken of, right? So, and when somebody asks me what's the legitimacy of this, I'm like, well, what's legitimacy,
Mhm.
right? When everybody that I talk to, well, not everybody, but most of the people that I talk to, you know, we come into that place where we can't talk.
Mm.
Yeah. It's not even a place, right? And some people think that I'm just pointing to the now. There's not even a now. What's a now? Do you know what a now is? What's
No.
time?
Every time you put words on it,
Yeah.
it's behind
Yeah.
or between.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And even the word, you would say that the past and the future, there's the now, but
It doesn't even exist because when you see
no,
that the past and the future then it doesn't exist, then there's no now.
no.
No.
And if you
Yeah.
say the now, there is not now and now. What's
Exactly.
between?
Yeah. What's in
So
between?
it's
Yeah.
always open and open.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's just this, there's gonna be it's not this.
Mm.
For quite a while, quite a while, I was saying this, but no matter how much I say, many times, a million times, a billion times, I say this, the listener, the seeker, is going to be like, "What is he talking about?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have been there
yeah. So I
trying to
have
understand.
I get beautiful letters now, and someone just wrote a letter. It goes, "I don't even know what gravity is."
Mm. And when you have to use the mind, it's there
It's there, yeah, yeah. One plus one is.
too. Blank for a second. There was nothing.
The last video that I this lady named Lori, right? She just kept on getting hit with it. She goes, it was just nonstop, no mind, no mind, no mind, and she was just like like, and but that's what
Yeah.
she needed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that was very good to have a second call
Yes, it is,
because,
it is. And I
yeah,
also want to see what happened. You know what I'm saying? Because for quite a while, there was just this, I would contact them, but after usually 3 months, right? So it's good to have a follow up because the doubts will come, right? You know what I'm saying? Or someone will make a comment on YouTube video that, oh, that's not, you know what I'm saying? And then you believe someone's thoughts, or someone will say something, or so it just erases all of the doubts, right? So here it is.
and I can be fully open because you wouldn't think anything is strange,
No, no, yeah, yeah.
and that's also freeing.
It
I
is. It
can't
is.
I can't go to one of my friends and talk about this because there's no point.
I talked
That's
to my
okay as well.
I
That's
talked
okay.
to I talked to one of my friend, and he was like, I talked to him for an hour or two. I can't remember, a long, long time, right? I was just like telling everything. And then a month later, and then he came up, he goes, were you high that time that you called me? Were you in mushrooms? And I'm like, I no, I don't take that anymore. And he goes, okay, what was going on then? And I didn't even know how to explain it anymore because I'm like, oh, okay. Because here I was happy. I'm like, it's finally over. This and that, and all this kind of stuff, right? But he didn't. And then he started figuring out what was happening. And he's also in spirituality.
Mm.
He started listening. And then all of a sudden he goes, oh my goodness,
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
get what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not necessary. Before I want to explain, I want other to
Yeah.
understand, but why?
Yeah, it's almost like, at one point, right? Because I thought I got it before about 20 years ago, and I became a teacher and everything, and I lost it. I went into my whole, you know, messy,
Suffering.
messy suffering, just being not the best person too, right? When you're suffering, you're not the best person. You're horrible. I was horrible, and at one point, when I was thinking, when I get this back, I'm going to it's going to be my vindication, or it's going to be my revenge, right? Revenge is sweet. And I'm going to be but when it happened, there was not even any kind of that feeling whatsoever.
Yeah.
There was no intention to even talk about it, to be honest. And it took me quite a while to even really, there was just a quietness, right? It was just a never beautiful unfolding quietness. And there's no need to brag about it or talk about it. it's so humbling.
Yeah.
It's so humbling just to
That was,
be just to be walking and
yeah.
um, you know, when you're walking without seeing things, when you're walking, you're not really walking. It doesn't make sense. I know when when there's a wholeness to it. There's
Yeah.
no difference between the trees and the walking and the breathing and the birds and everything because
Yeah.
the only separation that happens is when we speak about
Label.
it, when we
Yeah.
label it. Yeah. So there's
But
just a
first,
quietness. Yeah.
yeah, in the beginning of a year ago or so, I noticed that I was thinking about what I supposed to do later when I walked in the school in the forest. And then I was more present in the forest, and now it's more silence. So
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
a return. It's for me, it's not just
Yeah.
a click.
Yeah.
It's like
A
just evolving.
gradual.
Yeah,
It's almost like an unfolding, right? Like
yeah,
a gradualness and everything. People are
yeah,
waiting for that click, but the click,
yeah.
yeah,
That's the mind thing.
it's a mind thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I always been very competitive, so of course I want the click, I want the fireworks, I want,
Me too.
but that,
Me too. Yeah.
yeah,
But
and that's
the click,
also a
the
belief.
fireworks will never happen because it's already here. But the fireworks, according to your brain, should be this way and that way. When the fireworks has never even stopped or ended, it's always
Mm.
fireworks if you look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's your story. You lost all words and couldn't find Emerson, and okay, I why don't I lose all words? I want why don't I?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And that's just
I try
another
to be the
story.
same, but
Yeah.
that's also changed. It's not that powerful anymore
No,
after
no.
talking to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and I always say that comparison is the thief of joy, right? So because comparison is just the mind stuff. And I don't mind telling my story because I also say that it's just story, it's pointless. But at
Mm.
the same time, it's people seem to gatekeep these stories,
Yeah.
and it is possible, right, that there is a liberation from the idea of liberation. It is possible to end this seeking,
Yeah.
because when will it stop?
Mm.
One
And
speaker
stop
will tell
listening
you
to the
this.
mind.
What's that?
When you stop listening to the mind
That's right. Yeah,
or
yeah.
believing the
But the mind
belief.
will always want something to know, something to learn, something to follow, someone to count as a authority figure, right? Because it's always like that. I
Yeah.
want something that he has or she has. Yeah, it's always in the next, in the next, in the next. And unfortunately, listening to teachers, speakers, including me, you know what I'm saying, just propels that seeking over and
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Yeah.
But at the same time, there has been some learning that made me understand up to a point where I
Yeah.
could.
It can only take you so
So
far. It's not
it's
bad, you know what I'm saying? Because you
no.
can, you know what? Because it's almost like um it's almost like when you're trying to get to a destination, and then when you get a map that it says there's no destination,
Mm.
you learn that somehow that there's no destination. Whether you absorb it or whether you reject it, it doesn't matter, right?
Mm.
Because even saying that there's no destination is still a destination.
Yeah, it's landing.
And then hopefully you fall in between the cracks, right? Between destination and those destinations. If you fall into that crack where there's no landing, then you're like, oh, okay,
Mm.
it's here and not here. It's this and not this. And that's saying way too much. Right?
Yeah, but I can just feel when you start to say that, I feel this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy the silence.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Why was I so addicted to noise?
but I never have music in the car. I never, if I want to listen to music, I want to listen. I don't want to drive and
Yeah.
noise. I just, yeah. But right now, there's silence, looking for
I
silence.
I use the I use I love my walks, but I use the earphones without music. Um because this is going to sound horrible, but I don't want to talk to anyone when I'm walking.
I know what you mean.
You know what I say, right?
Yeah.
It's it's because people, people are polite. They say good morning. I say good morning, and then that's it. They'll see the earphones. Good morning,
Mm,
good morning, good morning. One
yeah.
time during the afternoon, I walked late. My late during. I think I had like major schedules overlapping schedules. So I was walking in the afternoon, and people were saying good morning, and just people were saying good afternoon. I'll be like good morning. It's just like a robot. They're like good afternoon, good morning, and they're like, that it's the afternoon, right? I'm like, excuse me, because it's the afternoon. I'm like, good afternoon. I just didn't want to talk. I just love
Yeah.
the wholeness of it, right? It's yeah. I just wanted to be left alone in my hour and a half of walk, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't mind the dogs. The dogs are cute. They come to me, and I walk in a
Yeah.
in a beautiful park where there's a cemetery. It's an off leash park. It's called Sherwood, and it's a long, long walk. It's got and the dogs don't have to be on the leash.
Mm,
So there's a lot of dogs that come to me because I have treats in my pocket, and they know me. The dogs know me, right? They're like, so I don't mind that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, the walk is so beautiful. The I used to say that I hate the winter, but for some odd reason, winter was my favorite season this year.
Yeah.
So good, so good.
Last year we had a beautiful winter here in Norway, but this year we almost have no snow. So now it's spring. Last year there was
Oh, here it's like
15 centimeters snow.
here major snowstorm after major snowstorm. There's one week with four snowstorms, right? So
Okay.
the snow just kept on rising and rising and rising until my dog was just you can't even see my dog, just little, but she's super happy. Just hear her little ears kind of like the brown ears coming up from the snow. She's like swimming almost, right? And
Yeah.
but it's like winter wonderland for like a whole 2 weeks, right? I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, we had that
quieter.
last year and I can just go skiing just from my door.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Just walking was
I heard
one,
Norway is very beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such a long country, so you have everything from the south to the north.
Oh, it's a
There's
big country, right? So
no, it's not big, but it's long.
long. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I live in the south, close
And you
to the
can go
sea.
to the north colder, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful.
I study in the northern Norway.
Okay.
So I've been living there for 2 years.
Oh,
So I
nice.
have friends there, and that's nice. So we can
That's
go
nice. Yeah.
visit.
Have you
Yeah.
visited Canada before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mentioned that I was in British Columbia, but I
Yeah.
know you talk to a lot of people, so
Yeah. 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 You told me the last time. Yeah. It's
yeah,
beautiful. It's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. I love. I
And
love the. I love the that it's like an all year um weather thing. Basically,
yeah, season.
you can go skiing at night and in the morning, and then you can go to the beach in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Then you can go walking in the rainforest and
yeah,
go fishing at night.
yeah.
Just so many things to do, right? So
Yeah, I would like to take my kids there.
mm,
Just
take her to
and
the
there's
islands. The islands are beautiful. There's a
yeah, and
place
there's an
called
area with hot springs.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
So
sounds nice.
beautiful, so
Yeah,
beautiful, and the mountains and the hot springs, and it's just a beautiful, like it's like paradise basically. Especially
yeah.
if you go to the islands, right? There's an island called Tofino.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, so good,
Hmm.
so good.
Yeah,
It's like a surfing community, but there's also a lot of people doing yoga. People doing People are really chill, right? So
Yeah.
there's something magical about the ocean, right? And
Yeah.
my friend and I went on a beach house, and it was just so magical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also have a cabin up in the mountains.
Oh,
It's
nice.
really old, almost 200 years
Oh,
old.
wow.
Yeah. And no electricity and no water, so I have to get it from the river.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's a river carved into the mountain, so it's like a waterfall and small ponds so you can swim, and
Oh,
it's
that's
so quiet.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so I go
That's
there
perfect.
in the summers, try to stay for a month because we have almost there's no internet, we have no TV. You can get text on your phone, but that's it. So
I
it's
lived
really
in a
quiet.
cabin for a long, long time without any electricity, internet,
Yeah,
and you had to plant, your own. You have to chop the wood,
yeah,
and you have to get the water from a well, basically, right? So I know
yeah,
how that feeling is, and I think it was almost a year. And this is after. I don't talk about it because people might think that that's what they have to do,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But the isolation was so beautiful, right? It was just like, oh my goodness.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's the deepening of just no thoughts that was happening, is because kind of like you're alone, right? So there's just this quietness that seems to happen. It might
yeah,
be hard for someone that's working in a stock exchange, or, in the
yeah,
story anyway, right? So, but it's also there. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
Like, I talk every day, right? So it's just beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
I
But
live in a
nature,
in, I live in a
it's
busy
great.
city, but
Yeah,
my life has become so simple. I don't know. It's like I just moved here back in December because I was with my mom, and
yeah,
yeah, you know what? There's beautiful shops, like, and everything, but I pretend, I prefer to go to the nature,
mm,
and it's almost like I'm pretending that I'm isolated here. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Although there's like busy traffic and everything. There's just this. It's almost like it's like I live in a province. You know what I'm saying? Or a small town, but it's actually a big city,
yeah,
right? So, but yeah, there's just contentment. You'll see it, that there's just more contentment that keeps on growing, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Because
we
when
have this house is 100 years
oh wow,
this year, and we bought it 2 years ago, and I never been so close to the city, but at the same time so close to the
nature.
nature.
Yeah, that's what I
And
like
this
it
is
here
also a
too.
very silent house,
Yeah,
old
yeah,
wooden house.
yeah. It's, I live in a building, of course, right? But
Yeah,
there's two parks that I go to, and there's a cemetery, and there's a dog park, and there's, yeah, and then there's, I love it, I love it, I love it, right? Because it's close to the nature,
yeah,
um, and it's close to everything here too, so it's easy to shop too, right? But I seem to be more focused now on the quietness of things.
yeah.
Yeah,
So how many conversations do you have in a day?
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. But it's all in
And
silence.
hmm?
It's all in silence, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's no drama, right? So
No,
no, no stress.
just peace.
Yeah. There's some
Mm.
people that have difficulties, with um usually people that have come from a previous teaching, or a belief system, or
Mm.
from a cult, basically, or a cultish kind of leader. That's when the mind is seemingly harder. You know what I'm saying? But not
Yeah,
really. But it also breaks apart, right? Because it's just a belief.
yeah,
Yeah. But there's a lot of compassion for that, or especially people that have gone through so much suffering, right?
yeah. What
Because
about
of a belief
AA and
system.
NA?
I get that a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get a lot of people with there was a person that I was talking to, and he would book, like, I think every, he was always so happy. And then a few months later, he booked again, and he said, "Oh, Emerson, I'm not doing crystal meth anymore." I'm like, "Crystal meth?"
Mm.
And He goes, "Did you not notice the first time that I talked to you that I was on it?" I was like, "No, I thought you were just really happy and hyper." But
Wow.
apparently he's kicked the habit, you know what I'm saying? Because he just kept on going to the in between. And he goes, he's tried everything. And it brings me so much joy, you know what I'm saying, too. Because I know addictions are hard. And there's another lady that is writing a book about quitting smoking.
Yeah.
And she used the in between. You know, she asked my purpose. We did a one-on-one maybe a year ago, and she said that can I use the in between because it has 100% success rate in quitting smoking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I read the part. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, my, my brother just knocked on the
No
door.
worries. Okay. Well, we can go. We can go. Maybe if you don't, just a second. I'll just